And we are back from the break, and we're gonna talk here about the most important groups overall. And thanks for the nice dance moves, guys. We definitely did not plan this. It's not scripted, guys. I have to say this again. We're not scripting the show. It's totally random and awkward at times. But thanks for calling. We have still that one good-looking guy.
Yeah, because he's the only one scripted here, so that's why.
Yeah.
Alright.
No?
We had to prepare something at least, right? So
True.
he is the one we prepared, I guess.
Yeah, you guys should have seen me. They had me in the makeup room and everything.
Yeah.
He's now a professional journalist. He's always scripting, always having notes. That notebook in the backside of his pants, and it's like, yeah, I have to do this. Okay, so I have to say a lot of good things about Rox Tigers. I kind of have to doubt SK Telecom. I kind of have to downplay EDG. I gotta hype TSM because I'm American. Yeah, I mean that's it,
You got it. You got it.
Scripting,
Mate.
man.
Maybe you should do that, and you're also getting a writing job sometime.
Yeah, you see, that's why I suck at it.
That's definitely the
Only sometime. Only sometime.
Only sometime, yeah. I mean, when it's about American teams, right? So all right, so let's hop into a short recap. So everybody that's tuning in right now and missed a bit of the first part of the show, Ken knows what we talked about. So who wants to does it, or shall I just do it?
You can go for it, my friend.
I can go for it. Alright, so we talked a lot of memes and banter as usual, so we had a lot of fun, but we came to a conclusion, a very serious conclusion about groups A and B, and we think that in groups A and B, we're gonna see Rox Tigers and G2 coming out of the group stage. We still don't know what to expect from COG, but we're not expecting too much, and we're very hyped about the jungle matchups in this group. And when it comes to group B, I think the most common conclusion was that we're expecting Flash Wolves and SKT to show up better than the other two. We still have
I didn't say that, but yeah, the rest of you did.
the overall opinion.
Alex did say overall opinion, the majority.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Tyranny of the majority right here.
Yeah.
Where
do you live?
Against one in that case.
North
So
Korea?
I think the average says like we still have a big question mark on IMA and how well they're gonna perform. Still, there could be some upset potentials in terms of expectations and how well they are gonna do against SKT and Flash Wolves. So, all right. Coming to that, we want to talk this time about first a group that I think everyone's hyped about. Or it's just me because, there is a Brazilian team in there, so...
it's probably just you then.
It's probably just me, but whatever. Let's say everybody's hyped about it.
And like a few million Brazilians.
Yeah, I can definitely dig that. I think
it's only you guys. It's only you guys.
No,
Only you.
Come on, guys. Don't let me... Guys, I
will let you down.
You let me down. Okay, alright. Anyways,
one last time.
Let's hop into a Group C analysis. For those that don't know who is in Group C, we are gonna see Edward Gaming, AHQ Esports Club, H2K Gaming, and INTZ Esports face against each other for 2 seats coming to the quarterfinals. So, who wants to take the first on that?
I think Strong has, because he said EDG is going to win Worlds.
EDG I think are going to win Worlds. I think EDG are not. Nobody in this group touches EDG in terms of really any facet of the game. Like this group. I mean, obviously this group does have Forgiven, but then you've got Deft and Mako, so probably still going to lose there. Mouse is kind of untested internationally. I'm not sure anybody's even Ziv is not a lane dominant player at all, and this is one of the interesting things about Ziv and one interesting thing about AHQ is because yes, they do play around their top laner. He does not do well in lane. He is down in CS in lane, and this isn't this is something that has been noticed. This isn't just like, oh, he's bad in lane. This is a deliberate choice of how AHQ play the game out. So they're pretty consistent in how they play because they have to play around Westor, rather around Westor's weaknesses, because Westor probably the worst mid in this entire tournament, probably worse than a wildcard mid. Actually, I guess INTZ.
We do have
He's not worse than Talkers.
No, we do have Fuhi. I mean, that
Okay.
needs to be
Okay.
taken into account.
I said wildcard mids, so
Oh.
Oh.
banter. But yeah,
Maestro
so
Colin was about to say, wait.
let's go. But yeah, I mean they have to play a lot around Westor's weakness in lane, sort of the way he can only really do play one style, which is Twisted Fate and other champions that faintly resemble Twisted Fate. So Ziv plays passive in lane, usually loses the first tower, but it brings pressure towards top lane, and they can win 2v2 and 3v3 skirmishes because Ziv, Mountain, Westor, all great in that sort of situation. And I mean, actually, an AN is actually one of the interesting players in the EM competition because he has massive CS leads on every champ he plays, against every ADC in LMS, and there's a perception of AN and NL as, or of just LMS ADCs in general as horrible players because NL obviously very famous for being bad at everything ever. Even his mother doesn't love him, I don't think. AN kind of gets tarred with the same brush. And like Kramer wasn't starting AD carry in that position, in that region. So, but AN is could actually be an interesting player. Well, like his Ezreal is actually godly. He has one of the highest DPS figures of any player in the world on Ezreal. Like he's played 6 games this season. He was averaging 754 damage per minute compared to 582 for the rest of the LMS. He's got some interesting things for him, but I think Ziv's play is going to be really interesting because he's not a lane dominant player, and that's something that could actually. I've been saying that he could have punished quite hard against H2K, and I guess against I don't really believe in Yang INTZ, but I know a lot of people do. So AHQ actually have got a really weird stylistic thing going on with regards to this entire group. Yeah, going back to EDG, I just feel like there's not really any area in which other teams can match in this group. Like I do not see them dropping a game to any of these teams. Like this is probably the best possible group they could have gotten. I mean. Like these are 2 of the weakest T2 teams in the tournament, I have to say, unfortunately, even though I like H2K. And obviously INTZ is a wildcard team. So, yeah, I don't see how EDG doesn't 6-0 this group.
I mean, I don't know to which god they actually prayed to get this group, but it worked. You know, I mean, it's like, holy crap.
No, I think what they did...
Needs a group.
Yeah, I think what they did is that they did a monkey's paw, okay, but they're very weird of the order of operations.
Yeah.
So they sacrificed China's international reputation last year at the 2015 World Championship in order to get this sick and easy of a group draw.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
This year, no, I mean, this year we might not make it, so let's just fuck it over completely. You know, sacrifice everything for next year because next year is going to be our year.
Okay. Alright, guys, then I'm gonna break your hearts because if you already hyped that up so much, I have to be the guy against it and say it's not gonna happen. INTZ will take a game because they will shit the bed. And if this happens, I'm just gonna die laughing, probably.
Didn't you call this too last year with Pain and Tigers? Did you not like try for that shit last year?
Do you know? Okay. We have a bold prediction segment, so let's talk about that later, and move on to the proper analysis right now because I have something prepared for you guys, and I know Colin will hate me, but you know I'm gonna do it.
So
you're
gonna be last. You're gonna be last. So just you amaze us with the whole thing.
You know,
blow my mind.
If there was one group I am actually excited about, it's actually this one because it's a German group and we have Clear Love. So what else do we want more? Because we have a group with Clear Love and other talented junglers trying to get to his level. And this is the group that, like, if any other jungler shows up, they can take the crown for themselves. I mean, Mountain's probably the least hyped, and I also think the worst jungler in that group. I think even Revolta's better. And I'm actually super excited to see how Jankos and Revolta will match against Clear Love. Because, one, there are storylines. B, I would really want to see Revolta play finally against good junglers. Because this guy has been wrecking the national competition so hard. And it's the first time we're gonna see him against some quality junglers. Because I don't want to take this off. Because like there were some quality junglers in this white card. And like both white cards this year actually. And he did pretty well still. Like I think he was second best jungler in this white card. I can take away from Odie that he was the best jungler in this white card. But however, Revolta is a talented guy and a very aggressive jungler. So if he wants to prove that he is really good at the game, he has to face against the best jungler right now, and it's by far clear love.
Yeah, I'm not even excited about that though. I'm only excited about the EDG versus H2K match, and
Right.
after EDG win, we're gonna see Deft doing like this. This is the only thing I'm
Lord.
actually expecting from this group. You know, it's just like gonna be, and yeah, and then Forgiven is gonna be like, damn, he got me.
Okay, maybe
Yeah, I
not
mean, it's an
the
interesting
best.
group.
I'm probably the second best ADC.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious to see how Jankos is going to perform.
Yeah.
And I feel that's where H2K's success is going to be decided.
I think the whole
And
group will be decided by the general matchups, actually.
yeah, in a way, but for H2K in particular, is going to be Jankos. He plays such a huge part in whether H2K wins or loses. I mean, to a certain degree, Vander also does the same thing, but I feel Jankos is a lot more important for the early game.
Yeah.
And he's also the kind of guy that has ups and downs, and there's a real possibility of him just shitting the bed completely.
Yeah.
Being an absolute god and just the first blood king and just doing it again and again and again. So I feel they have a good chance of taking the second place. Obviously, I think first place is EDG.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone contests that. But I think H2K actually, I was joking about EDG, with their god, but I think it's a really good group for H2K actually.
Yeah.
It's a much better group for H2K than they probably would have ever imagined. They have a huge chance to make it out of groups for the first time.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
fundamentally, I don't think there's a weaker second season this entire tournament than HQ, and this is like I don't think HQ could have got a better draw just on that basis,
Right.
Like Jankos on the world stage is going to be really interesting. We've seen him internationally because IEM Cologne, but he's played against horrible teams at both IEM Colognes he's been to. Well, not horrible, but he played against whatever in last season, and I don't even remember who like that. The 2014 IEM Cologne, which was like the worst international tournament of all time in terms of the field. We've not seen Jankos because of speed. Like we're so close to seeing him in season 4, and it's a shame we didn't. But it's interesting because like I actually my first thought with regards to 6.15 and the eliminated lane swaps was that it was actually going to be make junglers not really matter at this sort of tournament, because I thought, well, it's going to make the early game so predictable that there's going to be no real room for them to operate, and it's like there's not going to be a chance for sort of teams to pull stuff off. I was completely wrong on that. It's actually been the opposite. Like having no lane swaps, junglers have been getting seriously creative with regards to their early pathing, with regards to their gank, with regards to invades, all that sort of thing. And I think that's it's something that could really favour. Like Jankos could really go off this tournament just on the basis of that. And it's hard to say, but I'm really. I mean, if we're being honest about it, like last year we've seen more of the Jankos just doing nothing than Jankos being the first Blood King. This could be a return to form for him, and I do think it is really important to how H2K play, because I would trust Forgiven and Vander against the AHQ and INTZ bot lanes, certainly, but I feel like Revolta and Mountain could cause some problems in that regards, but we'll see.
The thing is about this group is that we have actually decent, we have like the best junglers probably like in one group, and we're gonna see if they are really the best. And we also have to talk about the top lanes here, I think. And because this is going to play a more important role on how well the junglers will be able to pressure the mid lanes. Because in terms of HQ, you want to play around Westor, right? In terms of INTZ, you don't want to play around Talkers. You want to play around the top lane and bot lane. And EDG has been trying to do the same, basically. They try to avoid as much as they can the mid lane and just gonna go for the bot lane. And the interesting part about this is that we have HQ being the only team in this group that plays a different style. H2K, INTZ, and EDG has been playing a very similar style where they just shove up the mid lane, the jungler can get aggressive, they focus on top early, and around level 6 latest, they will start looking for dive bot lane so they can get the first brick and first Drake out of that and start snowballing the game from it. For me, that's a very interesting point because INTZ was able to do that in the wildcard because no team was able to handle the pressure. Second, INTZ got along with it because people didn't punish stalkers by being a fairly weak laner. But now we have in this group where we have even when it comes to EDG, we have a solid mid laner. We have Scout. He has been playing totally fine to 1v1s, knowing when to pressure and when not, giving the space clear love needs to succeed. And we have also an AHQ that can have a Westward going ham or just shitting the bed.
Yeah.
So this is for INDZ standpoint already critical, but how well can AHQ actually use that? Because we talked about INDZ, MHA, INDZ, and EDG, but there's still Rio in the mid lane for H2K, and we don't know how well he's gonna show up in this meta game.
I mean, he kind of showed up really well, I think, in the playoffs and Gauntlet. But again, I don't think he's the thing we should be focusing on. It's obviously more Jankos, and to a certain degree, Vander. I don't know. I feel in a way you could actually say about the whole lineup of H2K that they're pretty weird. They all have ups and downs, and surprise could come actually from almost every lane. Even Forgiven could just shit a bed. He's done it before. It's not the first time, right? Maybe people will figure him out again, and it's like he's gonna be useless. I don't know. I feel they have a good chance. They probably will train a lot, hopefully for them, and for their chances. I'm actually from Europe, so obviously I'm going to root for H2K. I'm a bit biased to this. They look pretty nice. Last time we saw them, I think they kind of figure out the whole meta thing really fast, and we also have to take into account the fact that they actually lost to Splice and G2, right? I mean, those are the best two European teams right now. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know very much about AHQ, but I've seen a few games where they didn't look that great. But there might be other things which I actually don't know. So I just leave it to other people that know the region better than I do.
I mean, the key to HQ is just ban Twisted Fate. If you
that's
don't
what I
ban
want to
Twisted
say.
Fate.
Let's talk a bit about AHQ because Strong, as far as I know, you did a pretty solid scouting on them lately.
Yeah.
And what do you think? What are HQ's chances in this group? Because as I mentioned before, they are the only team to play a different playstyle than the other three. Yeah. And they still they're going probably to go with Westor instead of Chowie. So
Chowie hasn't played since spring playoffs, so it's unlikely Chowie makes an appearance now. But yeah.
So what is your take on the team? How do you think they are gonna fit in this group? Do they even have a chance to get out? And what's your general opinion? Is their playstyle ready or not?
I think the chances of AHQ getting out this group are very, very low, because a big thing to sort of consider with them, or first of all, if you ban Westor's Twisted Fate, then he suddenly has a lot of problems. It's by far his best champion. I think any team who doesn't ban his Twisted Fate need to just uninstall. So we'll see which teams do that. But more fundamentally, I think the problem is with regards to how they played in LMS in playoffs in the regional finals. A large part of being able to do what they do, which is they usually they usually get first tower bot, right, and that just doesn't make sense because you think, well, their bot lane is okay, nothing spectacular, but their top laner is one of the best in the world. You think they play for their top lane, and they do and they don't. They kind of have two pressure points basically in terms of their early game and transition to mid game. So bot lane will just push up, get a CS lead usually, but get a lot of tower pressure, and they'll just but then bot top plays back, usually loses first tower, and generally what happens about 12 minutes every single HQ game is that there's a big fight up on top side with like usually 3v3, sometimes 4v4 because the supports throw him up, and meanwhile AN's just in the bot lane just pounding it away and he usually gets first tower just while that is going on. And that's kind of how HQ do things. Like Ziv plays back, then they win these skirmishes up top, and they usually have to just snowball out from there, and they have to get the first tower on bot lane at the same time. And I don't think you can do that against these bot lanes in this group. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, they were doing it. The interesting thing is they were doing this with regards to AN with really not aggressively pushing bot lanes. Like his most played champion was Ashe, who pushes okay, nothing not spectacular. Actually, one of the lowest win rates was across the entire season was on Sivir, who would be the natural thing for this. And they were getting away with stuff like Ezreal. So this is one of the things is that if you're going to ban a champion, you've got to ban champions against HQ. You ban Twisted Fate certainly. The next ban's probably Tahm Kench. It's not because Albus is a particularly spectacular Tahm Kench. He's good at it, but because Tahm Kench is a tank champion with assistive wave clear, which means they can pursue that skirmish style, but he can get an Ezreal or I don't know, I guess an Ashe through the laning phase, not in terms of just making them survive, but in terms of keeping the lane pushed up and putting that tower pressure on, because obviously Tahm Kench can use his W as a form of assistive wave clear, which there are other champions who can do that, like Karma, but most tank champions, like obviously Braum, Alistar, they don't really do much to push the wave, right? And I think that they rely too much in terms of their LMS performances on essentially this mismatch in bot lane and just being better, and being better than other AD carries in the group. Mm-hmm. And I think they're not going to have that macro advantage, and I think they're going to be really badly punished because they're going to lose this tower top lane, and obviously they're just going to just go bot, gank more bots. There's not going to be the same sort of pressure being taken away by we can go on top and go on mid. That's going to be the big problem for them. I mean, I don't see them doing any well against HUK. I don't see them doing a TTG. I actually think INTZ even could take a game off of them.
I don't think so, though.
I mean, Yang potentially, like, this is the thing. I'm really interested to see Ziv versus not Ramley, not so much, but Mouse kind of and Yang certainly, because these are extremely lane dominant players, and Ziv, his style is to play back, and it's if you.
Well, I mean, Yang isn't really a dominant laner.
He changed.
When? It's like the last week, or
no, this wild card.
I mean, come on.
No. You can say he's not a dominant laner because he didn't lose one lane in the whole tournament.
Well, that's not
the problem though is that tournament is going to have way weaker competition than this tournament.
Sure, but you can take the fact that he stand out above anyone else in the whole fucking tournament, about being like the best by far top laner, and it was not a small gap; it was a huge gap. And he was like the backbone at any situation for INTZ. And
I have to disagree with you, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it was a huge gap between him and other top laners, though.
I
saw a good gap there, against most.
I'm like the original Yang hater. I was down talking Yang a lot before wildcard. He really did impress for me, and I don't know how it's going to translate in terms of the world stage, but I am really interested to see that sort of 1v1 relationship with Ziv, and whether AHQ can make or INTZ can make things work based off of that, because that's.
But I think for INTZ is if we talk about INTZ, it's going to be the same discussion as we always have, right? And for INTZ, it doesn't depend on how Yang is doing, or Talkers, or Mikau, or Juxter. It's Revolta, right? That's the thing. If Revolta does well, INTZ might do very well.
Here's the key.
If not,
here's the key. Revolta can only do well if A, Yang can be his pressure point on the top lane, B, Talkers don't get shit on, and C, the bot lane don't fuck up again like they did in Wildcard, just going for like weird trades and die in 2v2 situations where they
but I mean, look at the competition, right? So I don't know very much about Ziv and necessarily how his play style is, but I don't think he's going to dominate the lane against Koro. I don't think he's going to dominate the lane against Odomne. I mean, Odomne isn't a lane bully. He's not a guy that is going to get in your face and solo kill you, but he'll just stay back, he'll deny you if he can, he'll trade with you, he'll stay safe, he'll grow, and then he'll impact the map. That's mostly what he does. He just he's one of the main shot callers of that team, and he's going to do what he does usually. So I don't think Young is going to have such an easy time going against either EDG top lane or H2K top lane. Yeah, maybe when it comes to HQ, maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. I think even if Ziv, he's not the best top laner, right, in the world, but he still comes from a region where he's constantly playing against much better players than Young is used to. Right, and it's probably that his skill is a lot better just due to that.
That's the thing. We're not talking about that he's definitely gonna do well against them, but I think there's some possibility that he might be on a. If there's still a gap, it's much smaller than everyone's thinking of.
Yeah, but when you say he's going to dominate the lane,
wait.
No, let me finish.
You're misunderstanding what I said. I didn't say he's gonna dominate the lane. I said he dominates the lanes in wild card.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant to a certain point, right?
But you're using what I'm saying wrong.
Oh, well, sorry then. Sorry if I did that.
Mommy, Daddy, please stop hurting.
Yeah,
anger hurts my ears. This is why Blink-182 has that song.
No, but that's the thing, because you said that Revolta, if he has the pressure in the top lane, he can impact the rest of the map. I don't think there's gonna be pressure from the top lane for INTZ. That's the main point, Obviously, Revolta's not going to get involved in mid lane affairs, right? Because that's the way they play. He doesn't have like a super good mid laner in Talkers. He might look to the bot lane. Again, it's a decent bot lane, but I don't see it being too spectacular in this group against the two top teams, in my opinion. Hopefully they will have a good championship, and I wish they have a good championship, because I freaking love Alex. It's a backseal, not you, obviously. I have to say that. He's a great guy. I love the fact that he managed to get to the World Championship finally, and hopefully they will have a good group. I would be really happy for them to win games against AHQ, maybe H2K. That's it.
All right, Colin, what's your take on the whole situation? Because you were so quiet the whole time.
I knew you guys talked for a little bit. I dominated the first two. I'll be back for Group D. Super hard, trust me.
I'm just taking my quick vacation.
Don't touch my group, okay?
And don't touch your group. It's not
Don't
my
touch
group.
my
It's
group.
the Samsung group. What are you talking about? Moving on.
Yeah.
Group D is just a fun one to talk about. I think this group in particular, I think it's fairly safe to sort of call EDG, H2K coming out. I think it's crazy to say like anyone other than EDG is going to take first in this group. Yeah. Where when I referenced Obscurica earlier, talking about like Taiwan looking not so good, I think most of it had to do with AHQ zone form. Like Ziv is going to be good. Ziv has like always been good, but then of course you have the Westor problem. AN not having so much of dominant time for the team, things, etc. And of course you have a wildcard team in the group as well, which sort of brings the mood down for me. Sorry, Alejandre. With just like in the form that EDG has been in, with Deft, being exceptional as he is, with Scout being on for the good form, and Mako being, what Kelsey Moser has described as sort of like the MVP of that team. I don't really see how anyone else in that group really steps up. I do agree that I think the jungle is the most exciting position to watch in this group. I'm hoping that Jankos doesn't like just completely shit the bed on the international stage. I hope the First Blood King is there, because that would be big for some very entertaining games out of the group. But ultimately, again, I do think that EDG has such an easy group for them, and I think that if they struggle in this group, then we're going to be another round for a big year of China disappointments.
Yeah.
Like that's. If that happens in this particular year with this particular group, I don't think anyone would take China seriously ever again, which would be unfortunate. Because it's been a very historical region. It's been, a prominent region. I mean, for a span of a few years, it was the second best region, like undoubtedly. Probably still is, to be honest.
At one time, it was also the best region.
Yeah, start of 2015.
2012. I mean, they were the lead page.
IPL5.
Real Falls.
That was a long time ago. Were you born there?
No, I wasn't born. No, I was but a wee lad.
Talking with Alex. I don't know how he knows that because it was before his time. I'm actually curious how he knows that.
You know, my friends, I know many things. And I do a lot of research too. So
I give you that. No things.
I'm a smart boy. So
right.
don't take
very
that off
informed. Me. Very informed. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
I do my job right.
Yep.
Yeah.
What other Twitter analysts here in this crew.
Yeah. I've never been one. So.
Yeah, so I do think that there is a team that has the most likelihood of disappointing. It could be H2K. I think people want to see. We finally got what we've always wanted, Forgiven on the international stage. Ryu's back at it again, baby. Odoamne's back at it again. We finally got Yankos and Vander on that stage as well. But, H2K has just always been a team that you get into the playoffs or you get into things where games matter, and it's just not as good before. Hopefully that will change with this boot camp. Hopefully with the standard lane meta as well, though I think they were pretty good at lane swaps. Hopefully that just, H2K.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
H2K was was by far the best European team in lane swaps.
Lane swaps, yeah. Yep. So hopefully with Forgiven being there, it just doesn't affect them too much for that one. But at the same time, just like given them like the form issues that have plagued the team constantly, which, I mean, who knows, like a different tournament's a different tournament, but there are trends have existed within the squad. It could very well be that, they just all collapse and fall apart. Who knows who that would stem from or how that would go.
I just had an idea.
Yeah, okay. Here it goes.
And we have to think about the fact that Freeze is still plays for H2K, right? Who knows? Maybe we'd see Freeze. I mean, I believe he surely wants to be on the stage.
Oh, he does.
World Championships, right? I mean, he kind of contributed to the whole thing, right? I mean, he was there longer than Forgiven for the summer split, and Forgiven kind of stole the whole show when Freeze injured his hand. But who knows? Maybe we'll actually see Freeze there too.
Pop up as well. I know there's some questions.
I still think Forgiven is better.
Yeah, I mean, I think if H2K don't want to get out of groups, then switching to Freeze would be a good move. So
look,
because Freeze's form with
Freeze is really.
I think if they would have like the last game and they're out of the group anyway, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. They might even substitute him for Freeze. Give him one game at Worlds.
When we saw time last year on IG, so why not just get Freeze in?
Yeah, you see.
Saw Flame on LGD too.
If Gilius can play at Worlds, then Freeze can play at Worlds.
Wow. That was.
See how I do? I just poke people and they say the truth. No.
They say the truth.
Best way to make a show, man. Just say what's on your mind. Put it out there.
You're good there.
So Antis is gonna win Worlds. I said it. Bye, boys. We can end the show here.
Just on the show.
No discussion needed. Okay, guys.
Wins World.
Let's wrap it up.
2020.
Who gets out?
So who gets out?
I think we're all unanimous on this one.
I think it's pretty clear. It's EDG, INTZ, and Therese is gonna whatever.
Hold
on. Sorry, I have to take. If there was one group I can troll you guys about it, I have to use it. You can troll me with TSM again, so don't worry, you're gonna have your chance. But whatever, I think we're pretty clear. EDG and HK are coming out, and the other two are pretty irrelevant because they probably get tied. And maybe take games of people
I don't think
we don't
say
expect.
that easily that H2K makes it out of group, though.
Okay? That's true.
We all said that, when it comes to H2K, it depends on how they show up.
We're
going to see that from the first game.
Yeah.
Sure.
Off of form alone going into it, I think H2K is favored to get out over H2K HQ. But when we see it, it could change based on like what happens with each.
Oh,
think-
I
I
will
think,
know
like,
after the first game
the-
they
the-
play.
Westhoff finds the second champion.
The only
That will be the key.
the only thing that
Maybe
we know
he'll
for
play
sure.
Shen mid, again, Global Ultimate.
Oh my god!
Nocturne mid, let's go.
Holy shit! I
Karthus,
saw that already.
you know?
Yeah.
Global
Cool.
Ultimate.
Okay, so one thing is sure, EDG, and the rest is performance based, and yeah, well, sell boys.
Yeah, but most likely H2K. Most likely H2K.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for agreeing with me now, Daniel. After I agreed to go with the performance thing you just said.
After you agree with me, I agree with you.
Oh,
Always.
that makes so sense,
That's the way
boy.
it goes.
That makes so sense. That makes so sense. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm agreed with Colin now.
I'm a sensible
Whatever you
guy,
say,
you know.
man. All right. So let's move to I think the easiest group of all to predict. TSM is not going
Yeah,
through,
obvious.
and end of
Obviously.
discussion. We can just end the podcast here again because Group D is consisting of TSM, Royal Never Give Up, Samsung Galaxy, and Splice. Okay, guys. Before we talk about the serious stuff, we could meme this group because Royal Never Give Up is not gonna win because it's never gonna win.
No, they're not going to win Worlds.
Yeah,
They
that's
might
not
win the
happening.
group.
And then we have Samsung Galaxy. Please get the Daddy Award again. Then we have Splice that's gonna randomly somehow be the Danish Wonderlands. And we have TSM that's it's gonna be
Yeah,
overhyped.
it's TSM. I mean, I think this group is like the group of death.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people agree with me, but I actually think it's like the hardest group.
I think it's the
at
hardest, but
this
I would
World
say
Championship.
Yeah, relatively. You know, there's stronger teams than other groups, but these
I
these
will-
four teams
Yeah.
level is very close. It's
I-
hard to
I
call.
mean, I don't know
who-
how it got to this
Okay,
point to
okay,
have
for me,
a group like this.
I gave Group B the group of death because I think there could anyone get out. If certain scenarios happen, why here I think we have
Yeah, but here you don't have to think about scenarios. You know, that's the whole thing. You just have to look at the teams and say, well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of really hard to predict what is
like
going to
the
happen.
thing with this group here is because I see teams being strong at one thing and being strong at in being like lacking on other things, and like I see each team picking off games of each other, but none of those teams will be like in the best of one scenario good enough to constantly be able to beat anyone in this group. Where I feel like we could have really weird scenarios, or we gonna see what maybe a lot of people are expecting. TSM and Samsung will get through, or RNG will get through somehow, or simply Splice will surprise anyone. Like
Let's
I
go,
think
Splice.
we can start analyzing. Before we analyze this, what are your predictions? Because I want to hear before we get to a conclusion. What
Right,
what
'cause
are your
this is
guys'
closer.
predictions? Because this group is, I think everyone is gonna have a total different opinion.
Ooh, you know what I say
Okay.
from this group.
Fnatic is winning. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, Splice has almost the same colors, but
Yeah, I was gonna say
yeah,
it's the yellow European team.
Good lord.
I think it's TSM and Samsung,
Okay.
but it might be TSM and Splice.
All right. Colin.
I would say Samsung, then either TSM or Splice.
Okay.
So they reverse all
Uh,
dinos.
I'm going to be boring and just say Samsung and TSM. I think in that order.
Oh God.
That order.
So I'm going for the Asian group draw.
You're going for the easy way out, strong. Never
Believe in
I'm
Korea. Believe in
gonna say
Korea.
TSM's not gonna
the
go through.
Dude, believe in yourself, okay?
I believe.
Believe that little voice that says Royal is never gonna give up.
Oh,
Wait down.
and we have the
They're
new
never
enemy
gonna
song right
They're
here.
never gonna give up. I mean,
Never gonna
the
give
the
you
group is really
up.
strong.
Never gonna
I don't know if
let
you guys
down.
saw the reaction from TSM when they draw the groups and actually agreed with Bjergsen's assessment that this was a really hard group. I still think TSM have a really good chance of making it number one out of this group.
Yeah, that's Yeah, I think because here's the weird thing about this group. I think it's entirely reasonable to say that TSM could take first in this group. I also think it's reasonable to say that TSM could not get out of this group.
Yeah.
I don't think that's reasonable to say, because look how TSM performed this split, right? And everything stems out of good practice from them, a professional environment, and the players really taking it seriously and learning and trying their best, giving their best every day to achieve that goal.
Okay.
Oh,
And
God.
I don't
To-
think
okay,
TSM.
that's your
I mean, the
reasoning
chances
why
of TSM
TSM
crumbling, the
The
chances
Weldon
of TSM
Kool-Aid.
Okay,
sure
so that's
are
your
very
reasoning
slim.
why TSM won that
Well.
so super solid in NA? Because I
Yeah.
don't think that's the reason. Sure, that's a good factor on how TSM as a unit is playing solid, but I also think it's just because no team in North America was able to do anything against their playstyle. They
I mean, Phoenix won did in a way. So
yeah, but too
Touched them.
late, right? But I
Too
mean,
late
like
now.
Immortals was the team to be able to do to actually beat the TSM style, but they fucked up
Again.
once again. Hui just could not make it, and the team
Yeah.
could
I
not
mean,
make it.
the thing is, you just have to look at the way they're playing. Yeah, they might have a few team fights or a few decisions that are bad, but I feel that every team has that, right? But if you look at the way they play usually, and the way they approach the game, the way they minimize their mistakes and they minimize the opportunities that they give to the enemy teams. And I feel that's where it's really important, because they really take it in professionally. And yeah, I think they grew so much. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened, what changed in the TSM gaming house, but probably a lot of things did, because they do not resemble the team from Spring Split. Yeah, true, they have a new support.
Yeah, but it's only one player.
Biofrost isn't as good as people might think, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not an incredible support,
He's not top tier.
He's good. He's
he's
good.
good. He's good.
Yeah, you might see he's top tier, but it's like the lower end of the top tier.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I
that's
wouldn't
fine.
even go that far.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you have this is
Well,
top tier, he's here.
He
Yeah,
plays
something like that.
Karma,
Well,
he
he-
plays Braum.
You see, yeah, the thing though is that again, I'll relate this back to when we talked about CLG earlier, where we talked about, oh no, well CLG's had these moments where they've been able to macro in the late game, things like that. That's in North America.
Yeah.
TSM has done a really good job of minimizing their mistakes. They've done a good job of, very cleaning, very improved. Yeah, they look like a real team. I'm willing to say that. However, that's again within the context of North America, where you have Cloud9 not knowing what the hell a counterplay or cross-map play is against Team Solo Mid. And I mean, Team Solo Mid has been far and above away from North America. That's not really an indicator of how well they're going to do against international competition, especially international competition that is probably going to respond way better to Team Solo Mid's pressure than literally any other North American team. So I'll kind of I want to give the example of just like how I look at the Team Solo Mid and Samsung matchup, because that's a fucking sick matchup.
Yeah.
Like just across the board, because you got Hansur and Kuve, just two reliable top laners. Kuve, like he's been kind of spiking up, but how much of that spike is just he's playing not against like Sunday falling off against that regional final against KT Rolster. You have in the jungle, you have Svenskeren versus Ambition. Admittedly, that's like way in Ambition's favor to me. Ambition being a huge part of what's made Samsung as good as they have been in this summer, just with his leadership, his calls in the game. Whereas Svenskeren is kind of more like, I need you to go do this for me, Svenskeren. You kind of have to place him with an award bot there. Crown Bjergsen, I think that's a very cool matchup. I think that Crown should be able to neutralize Bjergsen, not get solo killed by Bjergsen. And Crown has also been a very good duelist at times. He's solo killed a lot of Korean mid laners in this season, including Faker at times. Then bottom lane, you have Double Lift, a multi-year veteran of the scene, very strong player. And then you have Ruler, who's been an exceptional rookie with great map awareness, something that people I think would say is the antithesis of Double Lift, where it's kind of like he can lose himself on the map or misplace a few times. And then you got
He's not doing that as much, though.
No. You are very much right. You are very right. Not lately. Yeah, he did get better. But like Ruler didn't have that problem to begin with.
He got a lot better. I mean,
Yeah.
Don't forget games when he was back in CLG and even in the Spring Split in TSM, where his positioning was actually just what lost the team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he hasn't been the responsibility. You're right on that. Where Double Lift has been the saving grace for Team Solo Mid at times. And then there's Biofrost versus, I'm gonna guess, Core JJ. I don't really know what's gonna be up with that duo lane of that.
That's gonna be interesting though.
That's a very interesting one. That's so interesting. Core JJ, like talking on the comms, and I think his warding was fine, to be honest, and his Tom Kench was really fucking good to watch. So when I look at that matchup, I think that Samsung takes the edge just because watching them and how they coordinated globals, especially with Core JJ's Tom Kench on the map, that was a big part in how they were able to beat KT Rolster through that one. And I think that TSM...
Okay, wait. I have to ask a question to Colin here. Okay. Because one of my my fears for Samsung in this group is that they really showed up in regionals in best-of series. And we're talking here about cheesy, possible best-of-ones, where we have some kind of new players, players that played in different regions before, but it's their first season playing in Korea. And we're talking about a team that is fairly new together against the TSM, that where the core is playing a bit longer, and a few players have far more international experience. Do you think, like, in a best-of-one scenario, TSM is still the strongest team? Or do you think, even though like Samsung is already on the level, that they are definitely by far the best team in the matchup?
Well, the thing is that these core players, if you look between Samsung and Team Solo Mid, they've had the same four players, at least four of the same players, from the start of spring. Now, this is excluding Core JJ, who... Or, actually it doesn't, because he plays for 80 carry for that squad. So he's been a part of that team in some fashion, and it's been very weird. Core JJ is just weird to talk about, because we don't know if he just had like this crazy peak for like a week that made him look like a pretty good support, or if he's actually improved to that level, or if just there's something about the way that he talks in comms. Because I know this from talking to Idolweiss Barry, who he just talks to some of the Korean players and stuff, that Wraith is quiet. Wraith doesn't say like nearly anything in the team comms. He might have a few contributions, but he's not an active voice by any means. Core JJ talks a lot. Core JJ feeds information. And when you have someone like Ambition on the team, who is a veteran of many years, who is in a jungle position, so he's able to sort of manipulate the map, and who has largely been credited with Samsung's improved macro play this year, then that's just going to let him be able to control the map even more so. And the thing is with Svenskeren, so in that matchup, I think it's going to come down to Ambition exposing Svenskeren a lot, because Svenskeren has gotten away with murder when he really shouldn't have been, playing overextending, invading when his lanes don't have pressure, but no one in America is good at punishing that thing, whereas Samsung contains scores Nidalee. I mean, it scores Nidalee. That's pretty impressive. They did lose like 2 games to it, but they also beat it 2 games in the regional final. And Svenskeren's Nidalee, not even close to that, for example. So if they're able to do that to a better jungler himself, they theoretically then can do that to a jungler who doesn't even play properly around pressure on the map at times. And when we talk about team fights as well, Ruler has been really good in team fights. I think him and Doublelift could be arguably comparable, but the gap there is once again Svenskeren and Ambition. I think Ambition showed up in team fights quite often, whereas Svenskeren, I mean, again, I talked about that example from the final where he's just literally contributing nothing to the fight. And against better teams, that's not going to fly, and you're going to lose that fight if you're Team Solo Mid. I think what really is going to be a huge crux, and I don't know what's going to be the hardest part of this matchup to call for me, is top lane. I just don't know what's going to happen between Kuve and Hanser. If they're just going to chill back and farm, or if one of them's going to step up and solo kill the other, and then how that's going to impact the map. Like, I think they're both very comparable relative to their role within the team. Kind of get left alone, fight against the enemy top laner, maybe get an advantage. Pretty both good at teleporting in to fights, answering calls for the team. Kuve, especially since he's starting to handle teleports himself. It's just all very interesting, but I see Crown as someone who's able to neutralize Bjergsen, and a big part of Bjergsen's factor is that he's the best player on Team Solo Mid, the best North American player, and...
Sorry. You were saying?
Ooh, I think someone's saying fuck yeah, Denmark.
Best player who's currently playing in North America, regardless of descent.
You see, you're a journalist. You know nuance matters.
No, very true. Very
Take
true.
it seriously, okay?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but still, best player that is playing within the North American league.
North American right now, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously he was.
Semantics.
I
We're
think he
talking
was the
semantics.
best player in TSM for the
Yeah.
summer split. I also think Double Lift was pretty close
Yeah, no,
to
double
that.
has been a close one, which is scary, but
And
I mean,
we also have to think about, you're talking about Ruler and Double Lift. You have to take into account the fact that, Double Lift has been around for a pretty long time, and he seems to have overcome these nerves that he's getting, in high stakes games, under pressure, and he's doing actually really, really fine right now. I feel he's not nervous anymore. He's not trying his crazy things.
I'll say this. I don't think Double Lift is going to be the reason that TSM is going to lose. Unlike in cases where he was very much the reason that the old CLG would lose. But I also question whether or not he is going to be good enough to be the reason Team Solo Mid wins, like he has been in North America, just because the competition is going to be better.
I mean, the thing is, he can be. The thing is, he can be. Okay, I mean, I will never be the guy that would just overhype Double Lift like most fans do. But I do think he's like a really talented guy. There's a reason he's been around for so long in the scene. And that's because he's really, really good.
Yeah. To me, it just sort of depends on how Crown and Cuvée.
The way you put it, I think it's really fair and obvious. And I think if there's a guy that you could say, he's the reason TSM lost, it will be Svenskeren.
Yeah.
Right, for TSM. I mean, that's where it all comes down to. We obviously have no way of predicting the future and know exactly how he will play. But
I mean, to be fair, you do have a way of predicting the future with Svenskeren because he does one route every game. He is the most predictable player on the planet. He will every single game. He plays Rex every single game. So that's a good.
I mean, unless he doesn't name someone Chin Chong in Korea.
Gets banned. Oh my god.
Yeah, and that's gonna be great for them.
I'm seeing some good Svenskeren banned from my timeline that I fortunately can't share right now, but it's along those lines. But I mean, the thing with Svenskeren, he does the same routes every game. He plays priority in the same place every game. Every single game, it's like I'm just going to wander into the enemy jungle and contest the second buff on the bot side. I'm going to do this every single game, and it never gets punished for some reason, even when you have Team has Trundle or something.
Samsung is going to punish that, and I also think that Team Solo Mid is going to be caught off guard with if Samsung play with globals as well as they did in that gauntlet run.
If he does that, if he continues to do that, it's not only Samsung that's going to punish that. Okay,
it's everyone.
Splice is going to punish the hell out of it.
Really good. I think that's the two key things.
I think that's worth mentioning because TSM has been playing like this sort of somehow kind of split push style where they always send someone to split push when they send Double Lift mid, and this one person that is sent to split push has no pressure at all by anything, and nobody's go there to punish this guy and let him split push. It can be Bjergsen, it can be Hanser, it can even be Double Lift itself, but nobody goes there and just go tag team him to force the summoners and at least go back. Nobody did that the whole split in North America. That's why TSM had so many clean games, because they always could execute that. And adding that to the mistakes that Svenskeren has been doing in the early game pathing, and the only thing that he has done successful is one thing that nobody punishes. It's never going to work against an Ambition. It's never going to work against Splice. It's never going to work at all.
I mean, Trashy is going to reap a new one.
See, that's the weird thing
I don't
with
think
the Splice Team Solo Mid matchup. I think Trashy is going to show up Svenskeren, but then I question how the laners of Splice are going to do against Team Solo Mid.
It's going to be a Wonderwear.
Because the thing with Samsung... Yeah, because the thing with Team Solo Mid versus Samsung, I can see Samsung's lanes at the very least neutralize Team Solo Mid's lanes. I don't see Splice's solo lanes, maybe with the exception of Wonder up top, but even then I question Wonder sometimes, about neutralizing Team Solo Mid. I don't see Senkux neutralizing Bjergsen. I don't see Kabe and whoever the hell supports with him neutralizing Biofrost team. Mickey's? Yeah, okay. I knew it was one of those M names.
Without the guy. That's how he said.
Mickey, okay.
Mickey God.
Whatever. So there's yeah, like what happens in the splice? I see the splice matchup being something where like they could lose the early laning phase, 1 lane, 2 lanes maybe, and then maybe the game's just over from that. But then it's going to be on Trashy to bail one of those lanes out or pull the lanes back together, and then we'll see if Splice's superior rotations in the mid game or
I think
team
that's,
fighting.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Right.
I mean, their bot lane isn't going to be like stellar,
Yeah.
right?
It's team fighting.
Wunder might be, he's a bit of an unknown quantity too, because he might just wreck everyone because he has it in his in his history, and also Senkax. I mean, the guy, sometimes he just farms, and just gets to the team fights and gets the rotation. Otherwise, he can literally just destroy the mid lane matchup, and he can actually I think he can do it against anyone, and that's the thing,
It's easy to forget Senkax had a lot of hype going into this season as the next great EU mid, really.
And it was like 1 good game, 2 meh games, another 1 really good game.
Yeah.
That's the way with him, and even if in the first match they don't do that well, you can never know if in the next match they're going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
And also I don't know exactly what happened in the structure of Splice, but they've gotten really better at playing the map, and they know when to rotate, how to rotate. The lane assignments are really good from them. So I feel that's an advantage that they have.
Yeah.
They can just exploit and get wins out of that, even against teams like Samsung.
Yeah. I mean, fundamentally, here's the thing I think about TSM. It's they run the same rough composition every single game, and so here's the thing: their compositions usually they look like they've got a late game threat to them, right? But it usually goes untested because either the game doesn't get. I would take they have win early, or North American teams can't team fight, and I feel like there's 2 big ways you can exploit most of their competitions, because they always run the same stuff. They have like a mid which pushes hard and can extend fights and can bait people like Bjergsen's Vladimir is ridiculous. There's a bunch of healing and shielding and utility. They've got 2 big carries usually. It's usually mid and bot. Sometimes Haunter gets in the action. But I think against that, there's 2 big ways you can play out. Like either you have an extremely powerful split push threat, and I think if you can get something like a Trundle, like a Fiora really rolling, I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Or you test them late game, because we haven't. I think particularly in terms of one of the things I think could be really exploitable is that. So I mean, it's a bit of a tale of the 2 tricks with them, right? Because there's two champions that 3 of their players have played constantly. So Scan's played Rex and Gragas, Double has played Lucian Sivir, Bifrost played Karma Braum, and I feel like they're probably going to still keep going to those champions. It's not like they can't play other champions. I think Bifrost might struggle on the champions. I think Scared might double if can play other champions. But if they keep going to these champions, I feel like their team fight, all you have to do is just get a range advantage over them. Like if they face a good AD carry playing like an Ashe or something like that, or maybe they're playing Cassiopeia, I feel like they could get really badly punished in team fights, and they won't adapt to them in the drafts on the first or second turn go round, and that could really, really hurt them. And I just feel like there are ways to punish them, and they haven't been tried, or they couldn't be tried because of the way that NA teams, apart from Immortals, like if Immortals with Huni, if they played TSM, I don't know if they'd win. They'd actually have a good chance at it. But C9 were never really going to beat TSM. Other NA teams were never really going to beat TSM.
CLG, yeah.
Yeah, CLG. Other NA teams, they don't matter.
I mean, you do make a good point, and I think that's that's the shame of not being able to see these teams facing like international challenge, to kind of know exactly how they fare against other people before the World Championship starts. So yeah, obviously there's a lot of hype for TSM. That they won the regular season like pretty
handedly.
Yeah, they almost got playoffs. Perfect. No, they dominated the playoffs. Yeah, but
if you got
in a way they did it very clean, right? Even if they didn't have that much
competition, struggle,
right? At home, they were still pretty damn clean. And there's a thing when you see a team, I mean, this is talking from a coach perspective, right? And the thing is, a lot of teams, for example, just complain when they're playing against lower tier teams in scrims.
Oh yeah.
And they there's like a clown fiesta going on. It's like, these guys are bad. We're just having fun, and it's like, yeah, that's not really the right approach, right? Because the right approach should be, okay, they're really bad. Okay, let's see how clean we can win this game, right? If they're really bad, and I feel in a way that's how TSM did it, right? They had really weak competition at home, but they were still pretty clean. Yeah, they did have a few bad games, like the Phoenix One games. I mean, it's not like they have a unblemished record overall. Yeah. But yeah, the games they lost, they were few and far between, so to speak. Otherwise, very, very clean. And especially when it came to them, facing the harder competition, they were even more motivated to perform well and to show their stronger side, right? And those games are the cleanest ones, And that's why I think I feel they have a sort of different attitude towards the game compared with any other Western team. It's more like it's closer to the style of the Koreans, right, than the style of the Western scene.
Sure.
I think that's fair, but I mean, my concern is just they're going to get. World is going to open the sewer on them, basically. Like the cleanliness is going to be like you can't do you're not going to be able to do the same sort of level of cleanliness. And can they actually? Yeah, can they actually?
Yeah, what happens when they actually get tested, sort of a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously a huge part, and I'm really curious to see. For the first time in my life, I'm rooting for TSM, right? It's like crazy.
What the fuck is
I like a lot of their players.
Yeah,
I like a lot of their players.
I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, we haven't talked about RNG and why they're going to completely bottom out of this group. Why everybody thinks that?
I don't think they will. Who's the Chinese analyst who's gonna say they're gonna shit a bed and we shouldn't bet on them? Because that's what everyone's saying apparently.
Yeah, going through and just catching up on a couple thoughts of it. So. Once again, referring to Kelsey Moser's work on her team previews and things, she's talked about everybody's sort of we've talked about trends on the show and people showing up to forum, hey, can't count out Faker, can't count out Coma. Well, the sort of same thought line is running for we got Uzi I back at Worlds again. It's time for the Uzi I Worlds buff. Doesn't matter how bad Royals doing in the regular season, Uzi I gets to Worlds, becomes a monster, solo carrying his team, advancing to the final. Kelsey sort of deconstructed that idea, and it's more like the team is in those cases the team struggled earlier on, and then near the end of the year as Worlds approached, they finally got a few things to click in there, and or they the meta would also shift in a way that was very suitable for them, and or there was just another thing. So a lot of factors went into just creating sort of the perfect storm for Uzi I and a team based around Uzi I and his play style, being very aggressive, and his raw ability would be able to show up and turn up. Kelsey Moser asserts that hasn't happened this year. If we look at looking at the mid lane with Xiaohu, he's been a very good LeBlanc and Azir player, and those two champions are basically phased out of the entire meta, and because of that, he's been very much of a non-factor. So, I mean, if your mid lane's a non-factor, that just immediately puts you behind in any game. As far as some other things that went in, I'm trying to think of more of the points that she made. Looper, I can't remember how much she talked about that one. What do you have to say about Looper?
I mean, I would say I don't think Looper's the sort of player who could punish Hauntzu and Kuve, and I think that's genuinely a problem because. In terms of match, I think I don't know how much effect Loop is going to be able to have cross map against these teams because just the ways they sort of tend to play out the game, both with Samsung and TSM, he's not going to be able to make these amazing TP plays. He's not the sort of player who's going to have massive pressure 1v1. Even if he brings out the thing, I think he brings out. Did he bring out this? Let's check this up. I'm pretty sure he brought out Singed against someone in the playoffs.
Oh, man.
But yeah, that's
right,
not
classic him. And then I think it was Uzi I and Mata were still working on laning synergy. I think that might have been a thing. I could be wrong on that. Maybe they're already stalled with that.
Oh, I looked, by the way, yes, he played it against IMA and they won in 23 minutes. So maybe he does bring out the Singe too.
Yeah, just be like, man, Singe. It's Looper Singe, baby. Yeah, so, but like all the things that have happened before that have allowed Royal Never Give Up to have like these, the Oozy Eye Worlds buff as it's mythologized haven't occurred this year. And again, they got pretty trashed by EDG. In the final. I think that's what the performance that's been on everyone's minds. But then also, like, there's just aspects of their form that don't look good. And that's like, and we're seeing these teams that have been either clean, like TSM, or have like shown really good global usage or macro calling, like like Samsung and Splice. And so because of that, barring a truly mythological, suddenly just like burst of like this team getting their shit together. I don't really like sort of see them just advancing well or doing pretty well in this group at all, because looking at Xiaohu and assuming based off just like, okay, if he's been having a very hard time being relevant recently, I could probably say that he's probably the worst mid laner in the group, because I know Crown's really good. I know Bjergsen's pretty good. I mean, it's probably close between him and Senkux, but even then, Senkux is like, he's looked really good at times. And he's shown that he's been able to play the new Rise a little bit as well.
European mid laner,
Yeah, European mid laner. Right? Yeah,
crazy.
So, against a group that has some really strong mid laners, when Senkux is on his best, you could lose like the whole game off of that. Yeah. Really,
he's not a heavy roam player either, which doesn't help.
Yeah, he's not a heavy roam player. And then I can't remember her remarks about the jungle for Royal Never Give Up, but it was.
MLXG kind of had some good games. I've seen some really good games from him, but I've also seen some really disappointing games from MLXG.
It's this
clear up mechanics.
I mean, the thing is, maybe that god to which EDG prayed last year, maybe they give something to Royal too. And I think in a way Kelsey is right about Royal, but again, the World Championship has a way of just getting every hope we have and every prediction and just screwing around with it, except for like the obvious really good teams. Yeah, it's like Royal are the underdogs, right? In a way in this group.
Yeah,
and I think they might just even play on that, right? I mean, we're the underdogs. Nobody really. I don't think the Chinese fans expect too much out of Royal this time. Obviously, everybody's looking at EDG, right? Nobody's looking at Royal and IMA.
Yeah.
And I think if they play on that front, not thinking about pressure or anything, we have to succeed to not disappoint the fans. I mean, everybody kind of expects them to crumble, right? Except for like the UZI fans out there. Yeah.
So if they keep that mindset,
he can be really good, right? I mean, we do have like two huge names in League of Legends, right? We have UZI and Mata together. So there might, the extra time they had maybe in practicing against foreign teams too, like from EU, NA. They probably do scrim with Koreans more often. No, that probably is something that can help them, find a way to play in this new meta. And they should have a pretty strong laning phase though, with UZI and Mata in the bot lane. And maybe MLXG will just try to, capitalize on that. I don't think they will get out of this group,
Right.
But I think there's a chance for them. They have a decent chance. Let's say like 15%, of getting out of the group, which is pretty high, I think.
I mean, MLXG versus Svenskeren is going to be fun because just MLXG is Svenskeren, but he actually has mechanics, so that's going to be interesting.
Oh my god, so good.
Celestine will win, I guess.
Everyone loses.
I'm not sure about that though. Look, who gets the Skarner wins, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you see, forget the Skarner always. Everybody's playing.
Always, man.
I'm trying.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I should count more on the Skarner.
I don't know why people are playing Skarner, but yeah.
I don't know. I heard there's this really good Korean player that busted him out, beat one of the
I
best
mean,
junglers in the world.
Yeah,
It's
fun.
yeah,
It's funny.
the
It's
best
funny.
jungler, in the
Like a
world.
cow tribute.
I think we're going too far though, right?
Maybe.
I think we
Best
should stop
jungler.
right here.
I mean, he's
and
really
go-
good, and I'm happy for him. But
Well, I was saying
Yeah.
score. Score was like one of the best.
Yeah, guys.
Oh, I
it's
thought you
definitely
said
time to
ambition.
wrap it up.
Sorry.
No. Like Ambition playing Skarner beat one of.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Okay,
Pardon me.
guys. Are we
Anyway,
ready
so
to
yeah, I
wrap
think we
up?
wrapped up Group D, right?
So predictions.
No, we didn't say.
No,
our
we didn't
predictions.
say who's.
No, we
wrong.
started with a
Start.
prediction.
Oh, we started. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
Then Colin CD Mangaka Naimer. He has his scripts there. No, we talked about this. Yeah. Look, it's on here, man. Come on.
Colin, would you be so kind to repeat for everyone in this audience a lost track on this whole confusion discussion about everything
No.
and TSM
Okay, so I said it's TSM.
and Splice?
It's more of a hope. I said TSM, and either Samsung or Splice.
and
then
I
Paul said Samsung,
yeah then
and maybe
Samsung
TSM
first.
and Splice.
yeah TSM and then TSM or Splice.
And I
And
said
then, yeah.
Samsung, TSM, Splice, Royal.
Yeah, collected Zen. So
All
yeah.
right. So we're gonna go into the fun part of this podcast actually, because
Let's go.
we're gonna drop who we think will show up at Worlds. I think we put that a lot in our analysis, anyways. But let's talk about some bold predictions. I mean,
All right.
serious bold predictions that might actually happen. And with that, let's look at on storylines worth talking about in this World Championship. But let's start with some bold predictions, guys. Who has the boldest prediction right here, right now?
I
Probably
have
you
the bold-
saying
I mean, actually, I should start, but
yeah. You probably have it. I think I know how yours ends up,
Okay,
buddy.
so
Yeah.
Clear Love
Come on, start,
will
Alex.
die first blood to Revolta, so this shit is gonna have an end, and Revolta can claim his title as the best general in the world, Kappa. No, actually, I think in Group
Goes
C,
even
INTZ will cause an upset. He will take one game off H2K or EDG for some reason.
I mean, that's not that bold, is it now?
That's actually bold. Against H2K, less
Still,
bold, but on
Against
EDG,
EG, it's bold. Against H2K, just because we don't know how H2K is going to form up, it's a little less bold.
but it's bold either way.
Yeah, no, like an upset, like a wild card beating,
I mean, like,
any teams.
according from what I know, the results were pretty okay in scrims, but it's scrims.
Yeah.
We can at least expect that if INTZ plays their best, they can actually fight for their money.
I mean, to be fair, INTZ looked awful in scrims before wildcard, so if the reverse is true, maybe they'll just go 0-6 anyway.
You see, there I heard other things.
I saw other things, so... Scrim fight!
So who's right, who's wrong? Find out in the next episode of Hold the Lane podcast.
Dragon Ball
Colin, take
Z.
it away. What's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction. I think I might have alluded to it already because everyone has sort of voiced the idea that Rox is going to 6-0 their group. I still think that they could possibly drop a game to Albus just because they're not going to prepare for them and maybe they'll just be like, who cares? Because they're a team that's always enjoyed having fun. I mean, thinking back, like every time I can just think they've done like some very weird, cheesy, funny shit. Occasionally.
And just have fun, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just how they sort of.
Or they would record pop songs, so.
I'm so sorry, but I love you.
I have the boldest prediction of them
Oh,
all.
here it comes.
I think
Flash Wolves
Flash.
will meet EDG in the quarterfinal, and they're gonna beat EDG.
Holy shit. Okay, that's a good one.
That's
That's
Okay,
a good one.
that's a prediction.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because EDG takes first, Flash
Yep.
Rose takes second, so they can match up in the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
Then Flash was. I like it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's one thing. Maybe we should do like bracket predictions, like some crazy shit happens in bracket.
Yeah. So, but
Let's
first,
see.
Strong.
My prediction-
Wait. Strong has to say his boldest prediction.
Yes.
First.
Okay.
Splice will 2-0 TSM.
Oh. Oh.
They have
like
the
that.
I
set
love
for
it.
I like that. I like
love
that.
it.
I
in a
mean,
way.
it's not that bold, but it's a good prediction.
Right.
It is a bit bold if you think about it.
I don't think so. I
I said
honestly
a bit.
believe.
I didn't say
honestly
a lot.
believe TSM is boosted because it's an NA team. Not taking away the fact that they are
Let's go.
playing better, but they are fucking
That's
boosted
coming
because it's
from
an
a
NA
guy
team.
that roots for INTZ winning. That's the good thing about it. Nice job.
Nice jump. Oh my god, that was straight savage.
Sorry, Weldon.
Let's
I still
see.
love you, bro.
Always.
Always. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like some sort of bold prediction. Unfortunately, I feel like mine are just sort of playing to the standard of just like, oh, you know, like, because I'm thinking of like, oh, the true final of this world is going to happen in the semifinals somewhere.
Probably.
You know, right? Like, you know, that's like a probably statement, just because like the brackets are going to play.
It's very probable that it will.
Right? Yeah. Because like to me, there's like 3 ideal finals for this tournament. There's EDG versus SKT, EDG versus Rocks Tigers, Rocks Tigers versus SK Telecom.
Yeah.
Like those are like the 3 ideal finals that you can get, because there's a lot of storylines into those finals, which I guess we can just get into that in the next segment.
Yeah.
So let me think of like a bold prediction. Okay, no way. Okay, I got one for you. I got one for you, guys.
Koreans will drop a game.
Oh, Fnatic was gonna.
Oh wait, Fnatic's gonna win Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah, not this year though.
My bold prediction. My bold prediction is going to be that Cloud9 is going to get out of that group, second place.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's a good bold one, right?
Okay,
You know,
yeah, that's a very
good
good one.
yeah.
So if you started already, what's like the least thing that is expect to happen, except a wildcard region showing up and upsetting a lot of teams? What?
The most
Yeah,
unex-
this year is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's not this year.
No, I mean,
looking.
I'm not
at the
talking about the
team,
wildcard
like,
teams. What besides a wildcard team actually going through groups would be a upset? Like,
Well, I mean, if CLG get out
CLG
of
winning
the
game.
group, yeah,
groups. Any of the Korean
guys,
not getting out of their group.
I said not a wildcard team. CLG is included.
and I said,
There it is.
what's wrong?
Team. So a shocking thing that could happen if none of the Korean teams, or I should rather say any of the Korean teams, don't get out of their group. I mean, maybe with the exception of Samsung, just because that group could be super close. Who knows how that could actually go? But if SKT or Rocks don't get out of the group, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be kind of upsetting.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
Actually,
both have.
I think it would be the most unexpected thing would be SKT1 not going out of groups, because like even like
Yeah.
they had some very shaky performance group stages. There's not one international tournament that they didn't make it out of groups.
yeah.
On the side, but well, I mean, there wasn't a group in that
I
one.
mean, there's very little room, you know, to wiggle with really bold predictions. Seeing how the teams are this year, it's like if you really want to make like bold prediction, you have to go stupid. You know?
Yeah, you have it go
that's how
stupid like saying like LGD is gonna take 4th in their group with Team Solo Mid like levels like last year.
Yeah,
And it was like,
yeah.
You know, and it's obviously there's the possibility of it happening. You know, nobody's saying that.
We live in that timeline.
Game, yeah. You know, we could live in the darkest timeline, right? And these things may happen. You know, INTZ might win Worlds, right? And it's the darkest timeline. And then Brazilians will talk about it for like 20 years.
Yeah, I'm never going to Twitch chat again if that happens.
Yeah,
Hey.
obvious. You're only gonna see Bomdia and things like that, whatever.
Dude,
You know?
if you're talking about Twitch chat and you think about Bondia, you're in the wrong Twitch chat, my friends.
I'm just saying, you know, it's that, you know, I'm not talking anything.
You didn't see Brazilian Twitch chat. It's next level cancer.
I mean, I don't know, probably.
All right.
But, however, I have a good thing for you
I'm
guys.
looking how teams actually played and seeing that if you think about last year and the shit show that happened last year, mostly happened because the huge patch happened after the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think that was the main reason why China so poor.
And then China had very poor scrim culture. Kelsey
Yeah.
reported on.
And also
I don't
unlucky
think
teams because of IG.
it's true this year, right? So we'll see like the top regions being top regions, and I honestly think we're gonna see the Koreans dominate. We're gonna see the EDG most likely being the team from China that will dominate, and make it most likely even to the final. They have that chance, even winning, right? They do have that in them. But otherwise, I don't want to really go stupid on making really bold prediction. I said, that maybe Flash Wolves, they might beat EDG because I feel that Flash Wolves are really good. I feel they're in a pretty strong position to beat really high placed teams. But otherwise, I wouldn't go further than that, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know about
All right. So then storylines.
Wait, I have a less one last bold prediction. AHQ decides to play Chowie and they get first in the group with H2K second.
No, as I said, you have to go stupid.
Yeah, they go stupid, man. So good.
Oh, man, this is not
Playing
stupid. We all
Crash.
know where this ends, and it's not good. And with a lot of beer,
not.
maybe, but it's always good
Yeah,
with beer.
it's
So
with a lot of beer. That's the thing.
so win-win situation.
Really
I'd
so
say.
bad at pencil beer? Is it really?
Well, you live in America. You don't know what good beer is.
True. I'll have to experience that.
I didn't even know you had beer in America.
I don't think we do either.
All right. So let's move to the storylines. And Colin, actually, this is your expertise.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
what do you have for us? What do you
You
think
have
is
to
like the
bow
biggest
to the master.
what
Bow
do you think
to
is
the
a good storyline going to this World Championship?
So I think that with regards to the favorites to win the tournament being Rocks Tigers, I think that storyline is, now that they've finally won a season of champions, they're the first seed from Korea here. Can they take an international competition? Because that final against KT Rolster was fairly close, especially given like the history between Rocks Tigers and KT Rolster being pretty much heavily favored into the Tigers' favor. Not as heavily as like SKT and Rocks, but still favored to the Tigers. So, what happens there on that stage? Do they continue to have like some underperformance issues, things like that, which I think they everyone except Peanut really, I think is free of that crux right now. Peanut, again, had like very just like off moments, looked sometimes shaky in the final, but his team was good enough to make sure that they weren't game losing. At the very least, they could recover off of that in some way. So there is that to say. But of course, the big thing for that storyline with Rocks Tigers is what happens if they meet SK Telecom in the bracket stage. That's because that's the white whale. That's the team they haven't beat. And I've talked before about how I think that SK Telecom, this iteration of it anyway, was somewhat saved by the swing to tank top metas. For the spring final, because that neutralized Smeb being able to create an advantage and then roll that through the team, and then that placed more responsibility on Kuro and Prey, at the same time that Peanut's jungle pool was very easily constricted and exposed due to his play style. I think Peanut has rounded himself out more, so he's not going to be as just like bannable onto and forced onto a champion that just isn't going to have an impact like that spring final. He could have some nerve issues, but Blank is I don't also know what's going to happen with Blank there. I think Smeb is going to, really assert his dominance over Duke, and that's going to take pressure off of Kuro from having to be the one to make impact through the map. And Kuro's always been good at roaming. He's always been very good at globals, and that's something the Tigers does very well do. And overall, I think the Tigers look more like a team than this SK Telecom, especially within recent form, has looked. It's sometimes looked like 5 individual players trying to do their own thing, with Blank being inexplicably doing weird things, Faker just like, yo, I'm going to lock in Cassidy and try and hard carry this game. And then even Bang, who I've held in incredibly high esteem, wasn't up to form, in my opinion, again, in the playoffs against KT Rolster. But still, there is that whole, they've never been able to beat SK Telecom. But, if there was a time for Tigers to do that, it would be this tournament. I think, just because the meta isn't a drastic meta change that completely messes with the Tigers' play style. And I think that they're going to be in a very good spot for it. And SK Telecom has looked very shaky. Now, is that still going to happen? I don't know. And I think that it could have merits to be the true final of the tournament. It could happen in semis. If I would be disappointed if it did. The most hype would be these two meeting the finals, the rematch from Worlds last year, of course. But I also think that Tigers and EDG would also make for a very good final. Korea's first against China's first. I don't think we've ever had that matchup, actually, historically, because wasn't OMG like China's first season 3?
OMG went through groups. They weren't the first seed.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It was
Then
you're right.
Was it
You're
G or
right.
IG?
Yeah. Well, here we can pull that up a bit. Let's see.
Probably.
Yeah. Let's see. But I mean, that would be a very cool final. And again, like I think that would just be the whole thing of can the Rock Tigers finally win an international tournament? Because the only other one they've been to, IM Katowice, they famously
That was fun.
The first
I
seed was
enjoyed that.
actually Royal.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But then SK Telecom wasn't first seed from Korea.
Well, they both played in groups, SKT and OMG.
Yeah, they both play in groups. Yeah, so SK Telecom wasn't first from Korea.
Yeah.
That was the year of Najin Blacksword.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they were first. Yeah. Okay. So so we still haven't, and then I know Samsung Blue was first for Korea season 4, and then Samsung White was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the deal. And then you had so then that already solves that one. So then we'd finally have 2 first seeds from the 2 arguably best regions historically in the last 3 years going head to head for that storyline. I'm trying to think of any sort of individual matchups there. Peanut versus Clear Love, that'd be hype as hell. The old veteran versus like a guy who's been around for a year and who like exploded very well. You'd have Prey versus Deft. I don't know how historic that rivalry could go, but I mean, both very old veterans of the Korean scene. I think that's a very cool matchup. And then, of course, there's the obvious SK Telecom and EDG matchup. The MSI rematch, as it were, from the organization standpoints at least. Scout and Faker.
That's a good matchup actually.
Yeah,
even
right.
Like Impact against SKT1 is also like the revenge.
Oh,
I think like we have Revenge at SKT. It could be a movie about this World Championship. And
right. Yeah.
I mean, you even got Rafe.
Casper in there. Good old Casper. That's what he was called back when he was on SK Telecom. There's Wraith in there.
The only one that's not there is Piglet, right?
Right, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And Pumandu.
No, he's...
Well, I bet
I
he's
think
retired, right? He's not...
Fair, okay. Yeah,
Is
you mean
he
active
coaching or analyst?
Yeah, he's coaching in China somewhere.
Okay, so whatever.
Yeah. But speaking of Wraith, I think their Samsung storyline, this is the first time Samsung has been able to attend a World since 2014 when they had arguably the 2 best team. Well, like I think the de facto 2 best teams at that tournament. And they've been sort of like the fate when the exodus from Korea happened. They sort of became the face of just like how the abolishment of sister teams and the competitive salaries offered by other regions. Yeah. Gutted Korea, and so Samsung was sort of like kind of like the face of that. They were the face of Korean dominance. Then suddenly they were the face.
It gutted Samsung more than anyone else.
Oh yeah, no, it did. Like Samsung truly lost everything. Other teams had had enough players to mesh just between the 2 sister teams and make a 5-man roster. SK Telecom did that.
This is one of the biggest storylines actually at this World Championship. The fact that Samsung, after 2015, where they were like, destroyed completely.
Yeah, they lost everything. Had to go with like mostly
back, get to Worlds, and more than that, it's ambition. Right?
Yeah.
He's finally getting to Worlds, playing for a team that was almost destroyed and they managed to come back. I think that's a huge story.
And he's a huge part. No, and he's actually a huge part of how they were able to come back this year.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, it's really incredible. It's like I've researched this topic for some reason.
There's something
it's like I researched
this
topic
for
some
right? Teasing something, maybe? I don't know.
You know where the first professional games of Prawn were? Brazil. With Team 58ers until they got fucked over by management.
Until then he went to Kaboom Black.
And then
look, if you talk about that, even Core JJ went to NA to see how not to play, right?
Right, yeah. And then, there's...
Give me a task.
And then... And then you had Ambition and Core JJ, two players who have role swapped, and Core JJ seems to have the grounds for maybe it's a successful role swap, one of the most weirdly successful role swaps. But still,
I think this is something that I think a lot of people just wait to see, because as you said, who knows? Did he have like a really really good week? Or is he like a really, really good player?
That's really good, right? Yeah, that's
like,
very interesting
how
thing.
much QWicked
Who
is
the
in
fuck
Core
knows?
JJ, or how much Core JJ was in QWicked?
Right, yeah.
I mean, it has a bit of a sexual
There's also
note.
Kuwei's own development on the Samsung team because he and Wraith have been like the only two consistent parts of that team since 2015. And I mean, Kuwei's always been like an okay top laner, pretty good on mages especially, but I mean, recently he's been in very good form, and I'm not sure how much of that is just a result of someday degrading into this Gnar one trick that's just depressing to see after he hit such a great height in 2015, or if it's actually Kuwei's actually evolving to be like a really good top laner. I'm very interested to see how that plays out at this tournament. So I think that's like most of it for like the Korean storylines. I think we understand Rox's storylines very well. Like their storylines very much focused around winning the tournament. SK Telecoms is like, can they get to the point where they win the tournament? And then Then for EDG, the storyline for China being let's redeem China after the devastating horror of Worlds last year. Make people take us seriously again. Deft finally taking the world
I'm
champ.
curious to see how much pressure will be put on their shoulders, right? Because they, in a way, they kind of have to do that, right? It's like everyone is expecting the guys. Last year, don't. Don't do it again. It's like, we forgave you for that. We're not going to forgive you for this one if you do it again. So I'm curious to see how it goes in the end, right?
Yeah, no, I think it's a very good point. And then I guess, I don't really have much storylines for the other two teams except Royal Never Give Up. Just let's feed the myth of the Uzi Eye Worlds buff, I guess. And then I guess, Mata masterminding through League and Looper, pulling out some
Is
stuff.
there any storyline to Aimee, though?
I don't know. I guess it's more like they pull off the miraculous comeback to get to Worlds in the first place. Can they? I feel like if they advance out of groups, they almost justify them being like China's actual third best team.
Don't worry. They have Athena, so they only have to pray for Athena, and Seiya will come and save them.
There you go. Let's see.
Sorry.
Okay, so that take care of the East regions. For I guess Taiwan, it's capitalizing on the fact that they have a first seed slot. I don't know how much that's going to play out. Flash Wolves, are they going to continue to be a thorn in the side to some Korean teams at this tournament? Like how they're going to match up against SKT, yeah. And then if they get out of groups, if they get matched up against another Korean team, how well could they fare there? How far can they go despite the fact that NL is a boosted animal? That's sort of a thing. That's sort of a storyline, I guess.
Let's hope NL doesn't watch this podcast.
AHQ, can Ziv put the whole team on his back, carry them through? That's sort of like the thing I've been hearing about. But no.
He's not a really big guy,
Yeah, I know. When will Westor finally retire? Will he just I don't know about that storyline. Will he ever
D5?
I'll tell you what, he'll retire after he wins Worlds, which is never.
Never. There you go. There you go.
This might happen one day or never.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not too versed in the Taiwan storylines, but I think those are like the general grasp of them. Again, it's harder to cultivate some of these storylines just because of lack of international competitions in a lot of cases. But Flashers has always really shown up and impressed, I think, at international competitions. Can they do it again?
They probably can.
I mean,
I think
for Flash Wolves are they like a world-class top-tier team, or are they just Taiwan's best? I think we've seen a lot of potential in there over the years. Like they started as the Gamma Bears, and they become like the fearsome Flash Wolves, and they were there to almost make upsets happen, but they got close, but also so far. So I think like this might be their chance to make a name for themselves, and they're only maybe they're last. We don't know. That those players are playing already for a while. So we never know, actually.
Yeah. Right. So that's Taiwan, international wildcard teams. Can they win a game?
Nah, there are actually some storylines, actually.
There's There's some there that I think that you would do better than
Like,
I.
I can
Mostly
do them
Revolta.
actually, and Strong can help me up with Albus Nox. But for NTZ, it's very clear: is Revolta a big deal or not? Is NTZ maybe final? Can they show up as their best wildcard team ever or not?
Right.
Because like they are supposed to be one of the best because they are one of the smartest teams wildcard has ever seen, but they never got to show up at the international stage. This was the first time that they didn't choke and died by not respecting or changing, adapting to the meta and stuff like that. So this might be the first and also maybe only chance we're gonna ever see INTZ on Worlds, because the high probability that those players will go to other teams is very high after this World Championship. So it's maybe the first and only chance we're gonna see Revolta and Young proving themselves. Are they the best of the best that Brazil has to offer or not? And towards Albus Nox is this is the first Russian team we've seen get as far as World Championship since M5 Gambit.
No, technically there was Gaming Gear EU in season 3.
I don't
but
count
that
this
was,
as a CIS team because they are actually a European team that just were too
they
bad to
were
qualify,
Lithuanians, but yeah.
but they got through a loophole on the qualification system.
Yeah.
So I don't count them as a wildcard team. They are. Just
I mean, they've been beating their head against the wall trying to get through qualify. They've always looked so good and then just flopped, except for the one time when they just straight up flopped, which you obviously know a lot about, Alex.
Yeah, it's season 3, and then they got to kick Pain Gaming's ass. But that's fine.
I'm also thinking of season 5. That was fun versus KOG.
Come on, don't talk about that, man.
Things happen.
Those should remember those times very well.
I remember them.
Yeah, but I mean, but like the interesting players on Albus Nox are Liquid. He's been he's been like rank 1 EU before, very hyped player, sort of in that Dumbledore mode where it's like, oh, he could be a fan favourite if people have more exposure to him on the world stage. That's going to be kind of interesting. The other thing is like, how good is Kira? Because Kira's just like, oh, we saw him at the we saw him at All Stars because he won the 1v1. Yeah, we won the 1v1 tournament at the Invitational, which got Russia actually there. And it's like, okay, well, Kira might be a good mid laner, and there's been talk before of like, oh, EU teams who offered Kira. Like by EU teams, I mean Gambit, but that was an EU team. So there's a question about Keith. Just like he just goes away into a shed somewhere and gets forgotten for like months at a time because just nobody watches the CSS region. So it's like, oh. How good can Kira be on the world stage again? And like, can maybe Kira move to a different region? That's going to be interesting. Auditioning based those two players, Kira and Liquid. Like, my inclination is no, they're not going to go anywhere, but it's entirely possible they actually put on a show. So that'll be interesting.
So
little love for a Miracle and Stesios.
Nah.
Unbelievable.
Not even their mothers. Not even their mothers.
No,
Yeah.
not even the memes, man.
But look, another storyline is that finally, after much pain and tribulation, Forgiven has arrived at the World Championship.
Given.
Right?
That's
Given
maybe
is
the
here.
headline of this world
Finally.
year, actually.
And is he gonna flop, or is he gonna dominate?
Right, yeah. And, HGK, are they going to not suffer from the same sort of just underperformance issues under high-press scenarios? Regular season gods, that kind of...
I mean, 3/5 of the team is just like...
They've been there before, right? In these situations where they kind of like, we can't do it, and I hope they can, because I feel kind of, H2K kind of needs to get on that scoreboard with the rest of, legendary EU teams. It's like, yeah, man, they were good, man. They made it to the quarters at least, right? It's like, at least get there.
That roster is just, it's always disappointing though, because it's like, you always think they're going to be, like, particularly that 3-man of Forgiven, Jankos and Vander, you always think they're such good players and they just never quite make it. Obviously, Rockout missed barely, what was that series, like 2-3 in the end, and then that horrible SK team got through in season 4, and obviously the entirety of season, like H2K got to Worlds and then just got the group of, well, not a group of death, but a group of you're not going to even show anything off here because you've got 2 really good teams and then the Bangkok Titans. And like they've never had the chance to show it. Now they finally have the chance to show it.
Look, I mean, an interesting thing is that again, we have a group where we have a team from Brazil,
Yeah.
one from Europe, right? And everybody's gonna think about Kaboom and Alliance. It's like, yeah, well, that could happen, you know.
The problem is,
Will that happen again?
That has a high, a good percentage to actually happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in this case.
Same.
Yeah, because H2K wasn't as dominant as Alliance was at the time, and then we can definitely say that Inces was better than Kaboom.
Intis is by far better than Kaboom.
Yeah, by far. Funny that you use that term.
No,
by far.
It's not even comparable. That's the problem. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what was Kaboom like fifth best in Brazil or something like that when they went through?
You have to understand, like, that Kaboom team that went to Worlds was not even the best Brazil has to offer, but every Korean that was in Brazil at the time had to go home because their visa expired. So Kaboom was there with being the only team with CNB not having any roster changes in the middle of playoffs. And for somehow reason, like, CNB didn't show up, so Kaboom went through.
Yeah, well, it happens.
With an AD carry that played support for Pain for a split, to only play Mono Jinx, like he only played Jinx to go to World Championship to beat Kaboom. So, and then Kaboom died. After this, Kaboom died. Was never a good team again. Okay. And INTZ was that prodigy.
They actually just kind of disintegrated.
Yeah.
even back home.
I mean, they almost died off this last split. They said they are discontinuing League of Legends, but there's a small possibility that they will continue in League of Legends. But I mean, you have to understand, like, for Brazil it's a big deal because it was the first time a Brazilian team or even a wildcard team did something with importance in the World Championships. So
I mean, they actually screwed Alliance's chances of getting out of the group.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that was
did.
the reason why they didn't get out of the group in the end, right?
It was.
It happens.
So basically, like, we have Brazil's best finally on the international stage. So it's gonna be interesting in the end. We're gonna see what storylines we get through the first days of groups, because I think it's time to wrap it up, boys. Because we talked a lot, we had a good talk and very good analysis. But before we close out the things, who wants to say first something to everyone's watching and to anyone who will watch the VODs?
Well, I have to address to my European fans with the message of go to bed, it's late.
What a role model.
Yeah. And to my NA fans, I'm just going to say follow CD Mangaka on Twitter, read his articles on Slingshot, because otherwise I'm going to look for you.
Jesus.
Yeah. And
I cannot endorse this message.
And to my Turkish fans, I'm not going to say anything because I have no fans there.
Oh.
That's sad.
Sad.
Yeah.
All right, Strong, your time.
Okay. I'm strong. That's it.
That's a strong statement.
Strong, powerful, moving.
Yeah.
Thank you for this kind words, my friend. I've never been so emotional before.
Right? Oh my gosh.
So, Colin, take it away.
Take it away. So I want to say to everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Hold the Lane podcast, whether you were a live viewer or watching the VOD. It really means a lot to me that you spent the time to hear all of us ramble about this crazy little esport that we found ourselves wrapped up in. And it's a pleasure to know these guys. They're very smart men. They're very talented people. I'm very happy to be a part of them. And I'll admit, I mean, this sort of crowd that we got here, this panel is a little more white and European than I would have hoped for. But diversity, boys, we're gonna work towards that one. I promise you in the future.
I mean, look, I don't. Did you just assume my gender?
2016, I forgot. Oh shit!
Did you just do that? Because if you did, you were right. Because I am.
A lucky guess.
Right.
Pretty obvious.
Oh,
when you
God.
look
A
at
lucky
point.
guess.
So even that game is gonna help
so-
for us.
I hope that you guys
Luckily, I don't care about those kind of things, so it's fine.
Oh,
do
really?
check out all these guys on Twitter. Keep up with them. They'll drop knowledge bombs on you, things like that. I will be, again, writing a lot of stuff from Slingshot Esports for Worlds. Hopefully, I will have interview content for at least 3 parts of Worlds, 1 week of groups. the semifinals in New York, and the grand finals. So I'm hoping to be able to work on all those, and you can find them all here. Actually, no, there will be a few of them posted on esportsheaven.com.
Actually, it's not going to be here because you're not going to be on
Yeah,
your
I'm
t-shirt.
I'm going to walk around wearing
It's on
it.
the website.
It's going to be just like a bunch of selfies going down.
Slingshot.com, motherfuckers.
You'll probably get more
Slingshot.
views, to be fair. So
Yeah. And I mean, it's just totally great that we get to be here and we get to do this for some inkling of a living. So
We have to do another one afterwards so we can
Just
bitch about
cry.
how we got
Just
it
cry.
wrong.
Just cry.
You know?
We're just gonna tune the
Yeah.
live stream on and just cry for 5 minutes,
can't-
then we're just gonna stop live stream.
No, I mean,
can't
you
believe-
can do it by yourself when INTZ plays.
yeah,
Keep your
0-7
live
in
reactions.
groups.
right.
All right. So I want to thank you all
Mm-hmm.
for participating. I know it was a bit messy, the organization, but still thank you all, and also Strong for just coming in when our fourth man and surprise guest didn't show up, so we need a new surprise guest. And
Surprise.
and thank you very much. It was great having you here. I will be glad if you want to join us another time. This would be awesome. I think those two guys, I don't need to say thank you a lot for being my guests on the show and co-hosts as always. And just talking about some games and stuff, right? That's all
Yeah.
what we like to do.
And
So
thank you,
Um,
Alex,
Love
for
video games.
getting us here.
uh,
And I had a good time. So
I had a great time.
that's why
I
we
hope
do
everyone
this
that
show,
watched
man.
or
This
everyone that
show is
watches.
all about having a good time and just talking about some
Yeah.
random shit, and also just memeing Naimer because he's not CD Mangaka, he's CD Meme Gaka. So I have to get this right. It's an old meme from this show, so for everyone who remembers that, so thank you for watching. And all to you guys that tuned in today and for the first time, I think we're gonna be doing a lot more of this podcast sooner or later. So check out those guys' Twitters because they are awesome, they do great content. And also do know something or two about this game. So if you want to know a bit more about League of Legends, be sure to check them out. And we'll see you on the next, so the Lane Podcast, whatever edition, maybe afterwards, Cry edition, or just for the next split of LCS. Guys, we talk here
man.
later on the same channel, on the same show, with the same 4 people or not. But one thing is for sure, they're gonna be memes. And have fun at Worlds. Bye bye.
Have fun.